Hello. In the last video, I went over some grievances that I had with video game essays on YouTube. So this is a part two because I want to vent more, and the last video did surprisingly well. Some people wonder, why do I film like this? Why is my quality so poor? Well, to be honest, in the past, I actually have tried to make videos that are scripted and have really cool editing and whatnot, but nobody watched those videos, and I ended up deleting them because I felt like they were pointless. Plus, that's really time consuming, and I'm not getting paid. If you don't like the fact that I don't use fancy editing tricks or scripting my video, please note that thanks to my military benefits, I basically get $3,900 at the end of each month without having to work. So, cope and seethe. Anyway, the Nakeyjakey clones. Oh my gosh. These aren't the worst people on YouTube. I have objectively seen way worse on this platform. But Nakeyjakey, I think I like some of his videos. I like him. And I think his influencers are, just boring. They're like a discount Nakeyjakey. They're not bad people or anything like that, as far as I know. But you know the deal. Quirky white guy who has some gamer background or something like that, comes from a privileged, well-off family, and he gets all nostalgic and glazes a AAA normie tier game. I really have nothing to say about these people besides the fact that they're just Nakeyjakey clones, discount Nakeyjakey, and I just don't find them that interesting. I wish they would get off my feed. Then we got the old games new, new games bad, unga bunga type of crowd. These are the types of losers online that love to glaze the previous gaming generations and act like those previous generations had no flaws whatsoever, and then cry and moan about modern games that they still decide to buy for whatever reason, despite numerous warnings from reviews and trailers that may indicate that, hey, maybe this game isn't for you. Playing older games made me realize how bad modern gaming is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely take Superman 64 over Claire Expedition 33. And Sonic 06 without mods is way better than Sonic Frontiers or Sonic Mania. You're not crazy. Here's why modern games are bad, and it's just a dude bitching and moaning about Baldur's Gate 3 having gay characters or something like that. I'm not even a Baldur's Gate 3 fan, but complaining about having role playing choices in a role playing game is retarded. And what's with this thumbnail? Is that like from Call of Duty or something like that? Because I remember back in the early 2010s, people were hating on Call of Duty. Anytime IGN gave Call of Duty like a 9 out of 10, people would come and attack IGN. But nowadays, people glaze those older Call of Duty games because nostalgia has set in. The truth is that Call of Duty was never that good to begin with. Modern games don't know when to shut up. Is that really a modern games issue? I mean, I recall a lot of games from back then that had nonstop talking. Like the Bubsy games where Bubsy wouldn't shut up. Or, hey, name a JRPG. JRPGs are full of giant amounts of text boxes and dialogue. And this is coming from someone who likes JRPGs. And don't forget the Metal Gear Solid games. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Metal Gear Solid 2, I really do enjoy this game. But the thing about Metal Gear Solid 2 is that the game has constant dialogue interruptions with the codec. Anytime you go to a new area or whatever, suddenly it's like, Raiden, you encountered a door, hit the action button to open it. Raiden, if you shoot people, they die. Jack, do you remember that day I had my period? And why are you playing a story-driven game but then getting mad that there's dialogue in it? Like, what? Go play a platformer or a Soulsborne game if you don't like dialogue for some reason. The cost of video game remakes. Oh, okay. Yeah, so one of those videos complaining about Persona 3 Reload and glazing Persona 3 FES because apparently Persona 3 FES didn't have any flaws at all. But I know a perfect solution to this issue. The real cost of video game remakes. Well, the cost is that now you can go get any sort of cheap PC and just emulate the old game for free. It's not that hard. Oh my goodness, we have the anti-woke crowd, a bunch of miserable, unemployed millennials and zoomers who cry about a video game having a black character or a gay character or a transgender character. And before you call me woke or whatever, please note that I made videos criticizing the trans community. I genuinely believe that a man can't become a woman or a woman can't become a man. I've been called a Nazi for, supporting basic human biology. This channel has a weird habit of it setting both the left and the right. But oh my goodness, it's like everything is woke nowadays to these people. Well, GTA 6 is going to be a woke nightmare. Well, we don't even know what GTA 6 is about yet. Maybe it could be woke. I don't know, but Rockstar has had a really good history so far. I guarantee you, if something like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out nowadays, there would be a bunch of people calling it woke propaganda based off the trailer because you play as a black person who goes around killing white NPCs. And that's the biggest irony or the funny part about these anti woke people. They can't tackle something like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, or they had to make some sort of double standard excuse to give the game a pass, because if they unironically call something like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas woke propaganda, they're gonna get shit on. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is so nostalgic and has such a big fan base that if you try to trash on this game, it's pretty much just a YouTube career suicide. Why does nobody unironically call Red Dead Redemption 2 woke? I mean, this game not only has a very diverse cast of characters and also messages about racism, but the game even promotes you, gives you honor. It gives you positive feedback for murdering racists. But nobody complains about this game being woke. There's even a scene where Arthur Morgan himself kisses a man in Saint Denis, one of the side characters named Charles. There's another gay character that Arthur Morgan meets and helps out when it comes to gathering animals for his circus, but nobody calls this game woke. Almost as if these people are too cowardly to actually, talk about one of the most successful and one of the best selling games of all time. Like, this game is currently the fourth best selling video game in human history. Why does nobody call The Witcher 3 woke propaganda? I mean, this game literally has gay prostitutes in it, and there's even a scene where Geralt himself is very accepting of a gay man. And this game could also count as woke propaganda. Oh, wait, nobody wants to criticize The Witcher 3 for being woke because, hey, it's almost as if these people are too scared to do so. But hey, I'm not going to give the bread tubers a pass either because the thing about left leaning YouTubers is that they also have stupid complaints regarding video games. Female objectification in media, a Persona 5 case study. Oh my god, calm down. It's just an anime Japanese game. Jesus Christ. There's like a lot of issues with this video. Like, first of all, he took certain scenes out of context, like the whole Anne doing a nude painting for Yosuke's scene. That part was obviously a joke, but for whatever reason, this guy or trans person or whatever the hell he is, he's like, oh, this scene is sexualizing Anne in a wrong way. And no, there's a clear joke leading up to the scene. They weren't actually planning on having her stripped nude, idiot. But what I like even more about these types of people is that instead of joining like a real life cause and stopping real life objectification, like stopping prostitution or sex slavery, these people would rather just, complain and cry about the Japanese video game instead of focusing and trying to prevent the real life issues because media can actually influence real life. Yeah, I really do bet a bunch of criminals were influenced by Persona 5, and you definitely did, tell Atlas a thing or two in your video, despite the fact that Persona 5 sold what? Over 7 million copies and is one of the most beloved JRPGs ever. And why is it that it's always some sort of fat, dyed haired person that complains about a video game character having some sort of visual appeal? I'm a fat person myself. I've been trying to lose weight, but I'm not going to bitch and moan about Leon Kennedy being one of the most sexy men in video games. Ugh, all right. I think I pretty much said what I wanted to say. That felt very good to vent. And I also just want to point out that there have always been more bad video games than good video games. That's not really a modern issue. It's just that now that we have the internet and social media, finding bad video games is easier to notice compared to back then. If you think, the old days had, no bad games and were completely perfect, I strongly recommend that you go watch an Angry Video Game Nerd episode because that guy has hundreds of videos where he points out old awful video games. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'm just gonna play this game for a while and then head on to church. I'm not a very spiritual person, but it's a good sense of the community. As a bonus, let's look at this retarded person's comment. So he's basically saying that when you buy a game, you gotta pay for more of the game, and I'm wondering, what game is this person talking about? Like, does that apply to Metaphor ReFantasio? Does that apply to Claire Expedition 33? Does that apply to Lost Judgment? Like, what game is he talking about? Because there are so many video games out there that don't ask you to pay for more after you buy the complete game. I feel like people like this have a very surface level normie taste when it comes to video games. Like, they're too busy playing microtransaction games or something like that. I don't know. I don't really play Fortnite or generic shooters, so I guess my tastes are just way better. But to try and generalize video games are all video games as doing this sort of practice just goes to show that this kind of individual hasn't really played any good games in their entire life. I swear, these people remind me of those types of individuals that say all modern music is bad, while also not making any attempt or effort into finding new good music.